That's my grandfather. He was the very second one that was hanged. And then follows the other. So this is the cemetery. This was established by the U.S. missionaries way back in the 1904. And the very first death that was buried here was of a baby. He's a patient in the hospital and he was not able to get well, maybe for severe sickness that caused the death. And after that baby came these 3 missionary nuns. They died of food poisoning and they were buried over there. In burying these 3 nuns is what the villagers saw, and the elders didn't like being buried underground. So they still continue their tradition, bringing their deads in the rocks, in the caves. Due to traditional, the women who die of giving birth, or they died of while they were pregnant and got sick, and the cause of death, and to these women who die of abortion, there is a special cave for them because they are not to be mixed with the other burial sites. That is traditional. So when this was established, they got no choice but to bring those cases here. It is free, the cemetery, because in some other places they have to buy the space.
Yeah, okay.
To us it's free. Part of the tradition that if the dead person is married, instead of making a tomb for him, they have to double it. This Eduardo, this one in here down, the vacant one awaits for the missus, who is still living now. We only see the rock, and around it are so many coffins, because this portion up to the caves is a rocky place and it serves as a burial place for the people long time ago. People are getting more and could earn much money nowadays, so they are now spreading this way. That's why below these big houses, actually it's a burial place down, but the government cannot prohibit them because that parcel of land belongs to them. So they had the right to put up their house. That's why the government has to stop, has to issue the ordinance that nobody's allowed to bury their dead in the rock. It only started 1960, the very first one. And the most one up there is the very first one that was placed here, that was hanged here. She then became a model because this is the very first place where they started hanging coffins. Yes. And she stayed there alone for so many years until 1974 when my grandfather was hanged there at the center. That's my grandfather. He was the very second one that was hanged, and then follows the other places over there. You cannot see the rock that I was showing you. Yes, that one. And the rest came here in the 1980s. And the last one is this below Bumitog. He's a neighbor of mine. He was brought here 2010, not a long time ago, yes. This way of burying is the idea of these men who got out of Sagada and went to work in the gold mines in Benguet. Because in the mines where they worked is where they learned how to drill a hole on the rock. And it is from there where they got these iron bars and the materials needed in doing this. If only these men are still alive then we could go and interview them because they were the ones who really applied these hanging coffins. Now, it is a characteristic of an elder here in Sagada long time ago that no matter how strong he is working for his daily living, but he has to prepare the things before he dies, such as the traditional clothing, the traditional blanket, a coffin, and a burial place, which he preferred to be buried. Now, if the elder is dead, on the very first day, is they have to perform ritual, butchering 3 pigs, no matter the size, as long as the pig is not a very small one, a piglet that just got out from her mother. So the meat of the meat are being distributed in the community to the relatives. On the second day, they have to repeat the ritual, but only 2 pigs. The meat then is being cooked so that everybody who comes to render help have free meal. Such in preparing this kind of burying, it needs more men, more than 10 men. They come here to prepare it. They have to make a wooden scaffolding. If it is very high, then they have to make sure that they could reach the height. Then they take turns in drilling the rock.
Right.
So when it is done, on the 3rd day, they have to clothe the dead in the afternoon and sit him on a chair. That's why we have those chairs there. Nobody wants to sit at home, so they brought it here. They sit him on a chair and tie him well so that if the body bloats, then he won't fall down. He is being seated for 24 hours. So after that 24 hours, they have to take the body from the chair and coil him like a fetus. Then forehead must be tucked on the knee and wrap him with the traditional blanket and tie him with the rattan strips so that if they carry him, he won't open up. So he is being wrapped, and whosoever wants to carry is much welcome. A relative or a non-relative, as long as the person is very interested in carrying. Actually, they even grab from each other because the elders long time ago had told the young ones that whosoever got the spill of the fluid coming from the body will have luck in life. So who does not want that? As they get there, as we reach there at the view deck, an old man shouts, informing the spirits down here that a newcomer has just arrived to join them. And whosoever wants to shout must think of the good character or the work of that dead person and shout it loud. That's why shouting nowadays is prohibited up there, because we are not burying, we are only visiting. Then the ladies and the children will remain up there while the men continue the trip down here. And then, just on the top of the scaffolding, they have to fit in the dead in the coffin. These short coffins, they are still in fetal position, only the face was fixed up. The feet are still folded. Some of them are already in their coffin when they were watched. And for the rest, like my grandfather, he was wrapped in the blanket when he came here. They only stretched his body when he is there. That's how they do in these hanging coffins. And in the caves, it's just the same. The only thing in the cave is the very first one that got into the cave they are the ones at the bottom and deep inside the cave either. And it is being piled coffin after coffin. Not like here that the very first one They are the ones at the top. And the last one, they are below. And up there, there's a hole on the left side, just with the rock formations. And there are coffins in there. You can only see one. And in here, over there, all of the big holes contain coffins. And they are century old. And it was 1971 when we came here. And those coffins were still there. How did they put them there, right? And he said, long time ago, it was covered with thick vines. So they played like Tarzan, from vine to vine, to put the coffins and then the dead. They are older than that one, even older, because our grandparents told us how. They were small children. And these coffins were already here. And my grandfather died when he was 92 years old. That was 1974. I am the one who say these are century because of my grandfather who told me so. He was even the one who told me that this big rock and another big one, there's a cave. And it will be there where they will bury your grandmother, he told us. And it really did. During that time when my grandmother died, I want to reach that place. But when I went there, almost near the mouth of the cave, I was so disgusted because they were tying a rope around my grandmother's body and hoisting it up. Because it's a short cliff, it was just like this. So an old man was sitting down and the other man was tying a rope around the body of my grandmother because she was wrapped in a blanket, right? They were tying a rope around the body. So when it was done, they have to lift her up while the other man up there has to pull the rope. I was so disgusted, so I went back. I was not able to enter the cave. But according to my grandfather, there were lots of coffins inside. Mostly are elders. They are to be placed in the... if it's in a cave, they are the ones to stay in the door, at the door. They serve as security.
Okay.
It is just like what is happening when they were still living. That it is the elders that protects the young ones. So they are placed in a place where they could be seen. And the hidden ones are the young ones. And especially these who died of accident or was taken by a gunshot or was loaded by another man, like that. They are to be placed inside.